I was with the husband, and he had to go and meet his two brothers. He had two twin brothers, that's funnily enough, above him. And they were quite well known, a bit rogues, you know, in Islington. They were well known. And he said, oh, I've got to meet my two brothers in City Road. There was a club there called the City Road Club. It was an afternoon. I went in there, I saw this lovely, handsome man, immaculately dressed, blonde, and I'm just looking at him because I'm a blondes man.
Right.
As you can see, Redford on my wall.
Right.
Redford's my man. So I thought to myself, he's lovely, isn't he? And my husband said, do you know who that is? He's one of the Krays. I said, who are they? I didn't know anything. No, I was 20, I just got married, I'd only been out of school six years then.
Right.
So I said, who are they? Oh, they're a family down in the East End. He's got two brothers, twin brothers, who my twin brothers knew, he said. And I started talking to this guy, and he's bought us all a drink. And then he said, what do you do for a living? At the time, remember, I said, oh, I'm a hairdresser. And he said, oh, you've got gorgeous hair. My hair was down to here, blonde, looking good, you know.
Right.
And I said, why do you ask? He said, well, my mother goes to a hairdressing salon in Bethnal Green, but she's harassed all the time. I thought, harassed? What? Why would you be harassed
at
hairdressers? I said, why? What happens to her? He said, well, my brothers are quite notorious. She's always been asked for favours. Right. And she really would love somebody to go home. I said, well, I do home visits, but I do them only on Thursday afternoon, which is my afternoon off from the salon. He said, would you go to my mother next Thursday? I looked at my husband, he went, all right. He nodded, I thought, all right. I said, where does she live? Valence Road, number 178. Thought notorious, they'd probably be like my husband's twins.
Right.
Bit well known, got into a few fights, appeared in court once for what? Having a fight outside a dance or whatever.
Nothing more.
You know, nothing more.
So no expectations.
No.
Okay.
And I hadn't been told by my twin brother-in-laws anything about them.
Right.
I arrive, bought my hairdryer, you know, the big hooded hairdryer that you used to have to take in those days, which you plugged in. And I knocked, big knocker on the door, and this little lady came out, blonde, lovely, sparkling eyes. Oh, hello, darling. Are you the hairdresser?
So again, you're thinking, why is this woman harassed?
I looked at her, I said, yes, is that right? I said, you're Mrs. Kray. She went, oh, don't call me Mrs. Kray. Call me Violet. You know, you have a feeling sometimes in life, and I've only met a few people like this, you're going to be friends with them forever.
Yes, I do.
Something in her said to me she was like my own mum. Warm, normal, hospitable. I got 2 feet in the door. Are you hungry?
Do you think she felt the same?
Well, eventually she did, because she used to say, you're the daughter I never had.
Right.
And that's how I became to be known, like one of the family.
Yeah.
Charlie Kray used to say, this is the sister we never had. He used to.
Really?
That's how he used to introduce me. I went in and she's making tea. I've made a cake. Oh, I said, oh, that's nice, thank you. Had a slice of cake and a cup of tea. You know, you want to start the hair.
Yeah.
I think I'll never get out of here. I've got to wash her hair first and, you know, start. Well, in those days, remember the rollers? No blow drying. No hair dryer.
You put the dryer on?
You put the big hood under with the big tube coming out and plug in. Anyway, eventually we got to that stage. And then when she's under there, I stood up to put my cup and saucer on this little table in the front room. And I'm looking along a mantelpiece. And I see these photographs, you know, of these 2 boys boxing in shorts. And I thought, oh, they do boxing. Then I'm looking, I'm thinking, I have been told that they're twins, but this is unbelievable. There's no way I can tell that. Really? So when I took her hairdryer, I said, are those your twins, Violet? She said, yeah, they're my boys. And that's how she always described them, my lovely boys. That was her 3 words, even when they were in the Old Bailey. What are they saying about my lovely boys? Oh. She loved them, she didn't see any harm. She knew what good they did to the community and to people that they helped there, but they kept anything what we call bad away from her. I said, Violet, how do you tell the difference? She said, I can tell the difference.
Really?
Anyway, I combed her hair out. She loved it. All packed with lacquer, you know,
Yeah.
sprayed to an inch of her life.
The ozone layer
And
gone.
all of a sudden I heard the door close and I heard, Mum. And she said, that's Reggie. I thought, well, how does she know he's in the hall? I said, okay. And the minute he came in, the questions started. It was like you were on trial. The look, the quizzical look that you always had, you know, with the frown.
Right.
Oh, taken back that a stranger, be it man or woman, is in his mother's house that he doesn't know,
Yeah.
he's never met, and what are you there for?
Yeah, yeah.
Who are you? I said, oh, my name's Maureen. Put my hand out, which he looked at me. He said, oh, who's this, Mum? Oh, she said, look, she's just done my hair. Charlie sent her, everything's all right. Charlie sent her. I said, oh. Sat down, she poured him a cup of tea. He said, well, where do you come from? I said, Islington. Oh, up there with the posh people. So I thought, well, I'll play on this.
Right.
I said, well, they did used to say that as I went to a convent. Convent? You went to a convent? Where was the convent? In Holloway Road. All right. How old are you?
Did you feel at this point, were you
Questioning.
Were you uncomfortable?
You're
at
a
all?
little bit on edge, but
Right.
I've never, even young, I've never been lost
for words.
for words.
I can't
Thank God he
imagine
did.
that.
Thank God for today. And I answered him, which he probably quite admired. I didn't close up. I said, well, I'm
Right.
21. He said, 21? You don't look 21, you look younger than 20. I said, well, I'm 21. He said, are you married? I said, I am. I've been married 6 months. He said, who have you married? Who have you married? That's very young. I said, well, I think you and your brother, your twin, and certainly your elder brother, know my family that I've married into. And he said, why? Who are they? Immediately, in case it was a rivalry.
Right.
I said, Flanagan. They're very well known in Islington. Oh, he said, I've met both of those. They're twins like us. They're identical.
Right.
And I said, yeah, I think that made him feel a little bit better, that he knew my background and where I've come from.
But was he warming at that point, or was it still?
Asked me a few questions, and he asked me if I had any children. I said, well, no, not yet. I've only been married 6 months. I thought, what? He said, everything all right here, Mum? As much as to say, you know, do you
want
like
to
this girl, or do you want her to go, or do you... She said, well, I hope she comes every week, Reggie, she said. Charlie said she'd do my hair, but she can only come Thursday afternoons. That's her afternoon off. He said, oh, you work on your afternoon off? I said, well, yes, everything has to be bought. What does your husband do? He's an asphalter. Oh, on the roads with the big pot. He knew everything.
Right.
I said, yes. Don't they earn good money? I said, well, who earns good money now, Reggie? He went, we do. And I thought that was a little bit of vanity.
Yes.
And a little bit of arrogance, really,
Showing
I'd
off,
call it.
wasn't
It was a
it?
bit
Yeah.
of showing off to me, because I'd said my husband doesn't earn enough, so
Yeah.
his wife has got to go to work.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They don't believe in that. They don't believe that they're women.
It was interesting though that he wanted to show off.
That's why he stopped Francis.
Yeah.
You see, so I thought he's had to say that. You know, and I always kept that in my head. And I told his brother, when I met Charlie again, I said, he turned in, he said, we do, with that little sneer.
Yeah.
He went, yeah, and they do. He said, any which way they can. And I thought, that's told me, really.
You had all those questions from Reggie. So
Mm-hmm.
when did you get to first meet Ronnie?
Well, then we got rid of Reggie because she said, go upstairs. Ronnie will be here about 7 o'clock. I thought, well, I won't be. I want to get home. And they always came in at that time for their tea, and then they went up, had a wash, changed again. That was the bit I left out, Yvette. When I first went into the house, I first walked into the kitchen, along a rail was hanging the white shirts, all washed,
really?
starched, and on hangers.
So she did all of this for
Every day she did those shirts, because I remember saying, oh, look at all all these shirts? I thought she took laundry in.
But not for Charlie?
No. He had a girlfriend at the time. But no, she did those every day because they'd have 2 shirts on in the morning.
That's a bit of work.
Then they'd come in, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock.
Change?
Wash, change, have a cup of tea. If she had a little bit of stew she'd made or some liver or whatever, they'd eat it. If not, they usually ate out in a club.
Right, okay.
So he'd gone upstairs and I was, well liked, I thought. She said, you will come back next Thursday? I said, I'll come back any Thursday.
Did you feel, after all the questions, that you wanted to come back? You still wanted to?
Oh yeah, because I liked her.
Right, okay.
And I thought, they're not going to always be here, I don't mind them. I'm used to my own brother-in-laws, we were a bit heavy characters, nothing like this, but still heavy characters, and I knew what was going on there, so I was well used to it. Off he went upstairs, and I said, well, I'm going, Violet. She said, how much is it? Don't laugh. I said 7 and 6. That's 7 shillings and 6 pence in those days. And she opened a purse and she gave it to me. She gave me another shilling.
Just give you a tip.
For me. I said, no, it's 7 and 6. No, you bring all your stuff. I said, no, it's 7 and 6. No, I insist you take the shilling. Would you like a piece of my cake to take home?
Oh.
I said, well, I liked it, if you don't mind. I knew she wanted to give it to me.
Yeah.
And if somebody wants it, doesn't matter, does it?
You can't say, yeah.
She wrapped it up. You will come next Thursday? I'll be here. 1 o'clock Thursday. Because I used to work till 12:30, half day.
Right.
So, it wasn't the next week, the week after.
Okay.
I met Ronnie.
And how was that experience?
Same thing. I was, washed and done her hair. I'm talking maybe 3:45, 4 o'clock time. We were sitting having a cup of tea, and the door went. She went, oh, here's Ronnie.
Did she look different when it was Ronnie?
Yes.
Was there a different atmosphere?
Maternal, loving.
Much more than with
fussing. Much more. Oh, he was her favourite out of the 3.
Okay.
I tell everybody that.
And did they know that?
Oh, yes. And he played on it as well.
And they were quite happy about that.
And she told me stories that how jealous they were. When they were little boys,
right.
they used to sit at the table with their little sausages and mash and peas.
Right.
And Reggie used to count the peas. Would you believe? I said, Violet, what do you mean count the peas? She said, well, they're only little boys. You're not going to pile peas up. You gave them like 2 spoonfuls of peas, which you'd give a little boy of 7, 8, 9. They used to count the peas. And Reggie said, Mum, he's got 2 peas more than me. She, oh, Reggie, don't be silly. She used to say, all right, give him a pea. I haven't got any more left. Give it. And Ronnie used to look at him and he'd do that little up the side, little sardonic smile. Even as a little boy,
really? She
said it was the same smile that he does now. And he knew he'd won that little battle.
Right.
And she'd sit in her armchair, she said, and they'd sit on the 2 arms. And if she leaned like that and talking to Ronnie, the other one would pull her shoulder and tap. Reggie used to pull her back and tap her. Mum, at school today,
oh, really?
He'd take her attention.
Right.
And if she'd lean that way again, now Ronnie, are you all right? Because remember, at age 2, she'd nearly lost Ronnie.
Yes.
And this from the diphtheria.
Yeah.
And she went and took him out of the hospital.
She saved his life, really, didn't she?
He would have died. The doctor said he would have died because Reggie got better and she took him home.
Yeah.
And when she went with her sister, in the next 2 days, Ronnie was deteriorating. And they said, well, in those, you're talking, 1935, we're talking, if they were 2.
Right.
Yes. They didn't have what they had today. So she's thought, he's not getting any better. I can make it better. She wrapped him up and carried him from the London hospital in Whitechapel, her and her sister, all the way back to Vannett's Road. She said, I put him in the bed, I wrapped him up tight, I wrapped the same blanket around Ronnie, pushed them together, she said, I left him there. They didn't cry all night. The next morning, she said, the fever had gone. She said, and my 2 sisters came in because they lived either side.
Right.
And they said, how is he? I don't think you should have took him out of the hospital. She said, how is he? Touch his head. And they were both sitting up and looking at her, waiting for their breakfast. She said within 2 days.
Really?
She said all he needed was to be with Reggie, be with his twin.
And I bet they never forgot that, did they?
Never.
Do you think that was part of the reason they were so almost obsessed with their mum? So
they
close to their
They were
mum?
obsessed with their mother. That's right. They did love their mother. I've got to say that. Did love and adore her, and never let her know much of the terrible violence that was going on. She knew they'd had fights because they'd had fights at 12, 13.
Yeah.
They'd been sent to a court at 16 that she had to go to, but to her that was boys fighting in the street.
Yeah.
You know, fist fighting.
Yeah.
And everything. So she knew, I think, that violence was there, but then again they had 2 grandfathers. You know, that were violent men. There was the old Cannonball Lee, you know, who taught them how to box. He was, he was a real character from the East End. He was violent, but in a boxing way. He used to fight on the cobbles, and that was done in those days. You'd go to a fair. And they'd call out, who wants £5 to fight this man? And somebody who probably had a light ale before got up in the ring. And that's how they got up in the ring. That was true in the film and in the books. They had to fight each other because nobody in the crowd was the weight.
Yeah, I see.
And she hated that. She told me all about that. She said, I'll stop that. And I said, you mustn't fight each other. Not that they took any notice of her, because they fought each other wherever they were.
Do you think she had much control over them, or do you think it was? Did she think she did, and they were just very loving towards her, but obviously just did their own thing? Or do you think they ever took any notice?
Indoors, she had control. She was the only one that could control Ronnie upstairs when I'd be there sometimes.
Oh, can I take you back then to that first meeting with Ronnie? So when he came in, and she said, "That's Ronnie,"
morose,
and there was a different atmosphere suddenly in the house. How
completely
was he?
Not wiry, alert, asking questions. That was Reg.
Right.
Inquisitive, frowning, wants to know everything. This twin walked in and said, all right, Mum? In that morose, deadpan face. And I looked at him, I thought, oh, you are exactly like the other one. The hair, beautiful, you know, suit, beautiful shirt. Everything was the same except, and he'd look at me. She knew what to say.
Did she?
This is Maureen. She's my hairdresser. She comes every week now. Charlie sent her. She met. She was getting in the questions before he asked.
Right.
She was clever like that. She said she met Reg a fortnight ago. He told me. So that had been reported. There's a girl that comes. Charlie sent her to do Mum's hair. Better than her going to the salon.
Right.
She was asked too many questions and for too many favours from the ladies in the salon. And he sat down and, would you like some tea? She talked to him different. It was like a mother talking to a child.
Really?
Do you want a cup of tea? A slice of the cake? What cake? My cake, my fruit cake that I make you all the time.
How did that make you feel when you're watching
I'll have a slice, and he'd have a slice, and then the cigarette, because he changed me. Oh, terrible. And he said to me, do you smoke? Because he'd gone to get a cigarette out. I said,
I do now.
Oh God, no. I said, no, I don't smoke. I said, my father did smoke, my mother doesn't smoke. And then he said, where did you go to school? But in a different way, not questioning, quick.
Did you feel
slower,
less comfortable the fact he was taking his time with the questions? Was it better when somebody just fired them at you?
No, I felt more comfortable with Ronnie.
Really? Was he your favourite? Did you get on better with Ronnie than Reg?
You got on better with Ronnie if he liked you.
Right.
And he definitely liked me because I was doing something for his mother,
right.
who he adored.
Okay.
Anybody that'd bring her a bit of shopping in, or the hairdresser, or anything that anybody did for her, he never ever forgot.
Right.
You see, so I was okay with him. Then he'd had his cup of tea, and she said, where's Reggie? Oh, he won't be here till 8 o'clock. He's gone to do something for me. She never would say like another mother. where's he gone?
Yes, what's he doing?
What's he gone to do?
Do you think that's because deep down she knew that
No,
not
she
to
knew,
ask?
if
and she
you
didn't want
asked
to
her,
know?
she'd say they were businessmen, which she
Right.
said. And she told me they had 3 clubs and a pub.
Yeah, so...
So therefore she thought that's what they were out doing.